Hey, what's up YouTube? This is Drew Meyer with Meyer Construction. Today I'm going to be installing some stair stringers on this office we framed in the shop. I was just going to go over a few things that tripped me up when I was starting out building stairs on my own. What's a really good resource is on different websites. They have stair calculators that give you every possible measurement you need. The big thing is when you're starting out is finish floor to finish floor. You need to know what your finish floor is. In this scenario, I really can't do it, but basically off your finished deck dimension, if you take a level and level out from your deck and measure down to roughly where your stairs are going to end, your last tread will be, that's an important measurement to get when you can. Here, what I did is just pulled off the floor right next to the outside of my office here, and it was 109 3/8. What you first want to do is divide that by your target rise that you want, which typically 7 3/4. Everywhere is different, but in my local area, I cannot have a rise more than 8 1/4, and that's pretty steep. If you add the rise and the run together, you should be somewhere around 18. Also, I've heard if you take 2 rises plus a run, I think it's 26 is the perfect ratio. So a couple different calculations. Your overall height, 109 3/8, you break that down to the decimals. If my target step was 7 3/4, I have a tread thickness of 1.5 inches, tread depth of 10, because I'm using a 2x12 and gonna have an 1 1/4 overhang. This calculator I use gives the height for the top of your stringer. So it's down from finished floor 9 15/16. It gives you your overall stringer length, which I need a 14 footer. Your total run, which is the measurement of the bottom of the triangle, which is good to have. And then your stair angle for your cutting your railings. So what I'm working with is a 7 5/16 rise. And then my run is 10 inches because I want an 1 1/4 overhang. So you take your stair gauges, and it's nice to have a framing square that is easy to read, but I set one at 10 on the blade. Set your run on the blade, and then your rise goes on the heel. So basically how you orient when you're laying out, here's my rise at 7 5/16. My run is 10, which is my tread and my rise. First off, you're gonna wanna crown your lumber. This board is crowned this way. I want to flip this over. So my step, like if here's a step, when you step on it, it will deflect and hopefully take it out of it. You wanna select straight stock for your stairs. Also be aware of knots, because obviously your throat of your stringer, when you lay it out, you're only gonna have 5 inches or 6 inches. So if you have a knot, you try to avoid having a knot in the throat of your stairs. Basically what you do is that's my run, my rise, and what you can do is make a little tick mark. So that way you can, when you slide it ahead, you know exactly where to line up. So with that rounded edge, it can make it a little difficult. Then you just work your way. I have 14 steps, and I'll have 15 risers. You always have one more rise than you do steps. Now what screws most people up is, let's say this is my bottom tread. You have to remove the thickness of the bottom off the bottom riser of what your stair tread's gonna be. And I'm going with 1.5 inches. I'm just gonna have 2x12s as my treads. So I need to remove 1.5 inches off the bottom. Pull 1.5 inches from your line. Keep it on that same angle. So this will all get removed off my bottom rise or bottom tread. Now, depending on if you're gonna have a toe kick or fascia on your riser, I'll just demonstrate that here. You also have to remove the thickness of the material off the back of your last riser. So where your stair ends, you can always have another square with you. It's handy to have because you can just line it up like this. I'll transfer that mark. Now let's pretend this is my 14th tread because that's how many I need. And essentially from your last step to your finished surface, that will be your last rise. Now I'm also going to be using 1.5 inch thick material for the face of my rise. So if you can picture here, that's going to be a 2x8 because I'm 7 5/16. So what I need to do off the back of my last rise is come over 1.5 inches. So all this on my last, but yeah, so just always remember the thickness of your tread on your first step needs removed, and then the thickness of your fascia for your rise needs removed off the back of your last step. And it's as simple as that. Basically, you work your way along. It's best to cut your first stringer, mark it for a jig, and then reuse that each time. I like to set the pencil side down. I feel like that's a more accurate mark for me. So you flush it up, and then tack a screw in, and that just makes sure it doesn't shift. And then it's as simple as just transferring your marks. Make sure and use a sharp pencil so you have clean lines.
What?
So you can see I just tacked my stringer up to kind of show you here. These are the hangers I got to put on, but I wanted to line it up and trace it out to be exactly to my line here. So you can see I'm to my line. I'm gonna slip this up and secure it. The fasteners I'm using are Simpson strong drive connectors. These are number 9s by 2.5. Depending on what kind of material this is going into, you might need 1.5 inch hanger nails. What I'm gonna do is fill all these in with these hanger screws. And I think the rule is any slot in here you have to fill. I like these a little better than the hanger straps. I've just had better luck. I feel like there's a better connection. So you can see I got my stringer up here on my mark of the top of my last riser. I leveled that all the way across. I wanted to see where to set the height of my hangers. Another good thing, once you get it fit up against the wall, what you want to look for is make sure your stringer's plumb against the wall and that it's level. So I'm right on. Another thing you want to check is the bottom of your stair tread Make sure that's also full contact, that's not bearing on the heel or the very front, that it's nice and level. Now I have electrical in this wall, that's why I marked this out. Make sure you're using proper depth of fasteners. Installed blocking below my rim joist because my bottom screw will hit there. Depending on what you use, either hanger nails or structural screws. Sometimes you'll have to notch out, depending on which hardware you use, a little bit of your stringer, which is no big deal. If you use the hanger nails, typically you won't, but with these you will. So I got it all laid out. So I got all my stringers set up at the top with my hangers. Right now I'm kind of adjusting the bottom. What I'm doing is putting in a block with tap cons into the floor to lock that in. This is gonna help square it up. Basically what you do is pull your measurements off the top and then try to keep them square. Like what I did is referenced off my wall girt to determine this dimension down here. Obviously you got to work with what scenario you got. But yeah, so I'm gonna put the blocks in towards the back side, right where the heel of the stringer is. And then that way I'll also install blocking on the face, or towards the face of my very bottom of the stringer. And that'll keep them from rocking back and forth and true them up. If you want really strong, sturdy stairs, block in the bottom of your stringers. There's multiple ways you can do it, but basically you could even notch out like a toe kick or cleat, I guess is what you'd call it. You know, notch out a 2x4 in the back of your stringer. The only issue with that, if you notch it out, that's where it's gonna bear, and that can actually, with the grain orientation of your 2x12, that can actually be a problem area over the years and split out. That's why I just cut blocks in between and then screw through the side. And I'm also using construction adhesive down here to help lock everything together.
Motherfucking